So in 1984, Steve Jobs actually stood at a whiteboard and made this really bizarre claim.
Right, the invisible tech quote.
Exactly. He completely upended how the tech industry measures success, right? Because he said the best technology isn't actually sleek or, powerful.
Yeah.
He said the best technology is invisible. Like it disappears so entirely into human work that you stop thinking about the tool and focus on the outcome.
Which is a brilliant way to frame it.
Right. And welcome to a new deep dive, everyone. Today we are looking at how, after 40 years, that exact philosophy is finally hitting the global supply chain.
It's about time, honestly.
It really is. So we're unpacking some fascinating sources today. We've got technical platform documentation from a company called Enmovil, founded in 2024, by the way, and a deeply insightful LinkedIn analysis written by Shishias from Microsoft for Startups.
Both really solid sources.
Yeah. And our mission today for you, the listener, is to understand how artificial intelligence is transitioning from a flashy corporate buzzword into this genuinely invisible coworker.
And I think, it is a profound shift in thinking for an industry that literally moves the physical world.
Right.
The core thesis driving both of these sources is this massive paradox facing global logistics right now. And that paradox is basically this supply chain software actually works perfectly well today.
Wait, perfectly well. I feel like people complain about your software all the time.
I know, right? But the software itself isn't broken. The issue is that the workflow has entirely consumed the actual work.
Oh, I see. Okay, so we're talking about all the decades of investment into these deeply entrenched enterprise platforms, right?
Exactly. Your ERPs, your warehouse management systems, your TMS for transportation.
Yeah, as Enmovil's founder, Ravi Bulusu, points out in their documentation, these legacy systems do exactly what they were built to do.
Right.
They're basically incredibly robust filing cabinets. They capture information and, keep the data secure.
They organize the data flawlessly, but, we have to look at the era in which they were designed.
Right. They're older architectures.
Yeah, they were built for what we call operator-triggered batch decisions. They simply weren't built for continuous real-time action.
Operator-triggered, meaning someone actually has to push a button.
Exactly. The architecture fundamentally requires a human to log in, pull a report, analyze a static snapshot in time,
Right.
make a decision, and then manually input a command back into the system. They capture data, sure, but they lack any native capability to decide what that data actually means in the moment.
And the reality of that for the human worker is just brutal. I mean, Sheshes highlights this so clearly in his article. Planners are spending their entire day just, dashboard hopping.
Oh, it's exhausting.
Yeah. By the time a supply chain planner pulls a demand signal from the ERP, cross-references where the inventory is physically sitting in the WMS, and then coordinates with the logistics carriers over in the TMS.
The moment has passed.
Exactly. The window to actually do anything proactive about a disruption has completely closed. They are perpetually reacting to history instead of managing the present.
And the cognitive overhead required just to synthesize that disparate data is staggering.
I can imagine.
What's fascinating here is that studies in operations management consistently show that professionals in these roles spend a massive chunk of their working hours just retrieving information.
Just finding the data?
Yeah, and coordinating communication. They are essentially acting as human APIs.
Human APIs. Wow.
Just moving data from one screen to another. They aren't making the crucial high-level judgment calls their organizations actually hired them to make.
Because they're drowning in manual reconciliation.
Exactly.
Okay, let's unpack this with an analogy for you guys listening. It's like being an air traffic controller, right?
Mm-hmm.
But your radar screen is in one room, your radio to talk to the pilots is down the hall in another room.
Oh, that's a good one.
And your daily flight schedules are locked in a filing cabinet in the basement.
Yeah, good luck landing those planes.
Right. You technically have all the information you need, but you are absolutely exhausted just trying to put the pieces together before something crashes. The system is fighting you.
Which leaves enterprises in a very difficult position because, tearing out millions of dollars of legacy ERP software that a massive corporation has customized over a decade is, it's completely unrealistic.
The switching costs alone.
Yeah, the switching costs are too high. The operational risk is immense. No Fortune 500 board is going to approve that kind of rip and replace project lightly.
So if we can't rip out the old systems, how do we actually solve this? The sources introduce this concept of an agentic intelligence layer.
Right, which is where Enmovil comes in.
Yeah, Enmovil acts as a continuous intelligence fabric that sits directly on top of the infrastructure that's already there. absorbing all that complexity.
Yes.
But wait, I'm going to play devil's advocate here. If I am a supply chain planner who is already sick of software, I am terrified of this pitch. You are telling me an AI is going to intercept an ERP alert and do what exactly? If the solution is that I have to log into a fourth dashboard to manage the other three dashboards, I'm going to lose my mind.
Oh, yeah. No one wants another dashboard.
Right. So how does this layer actually interface with a human without adding more friction? Does it just start randomly pinging people?
That is the most critical hurdle to adoption, actually. And it is where Enmovil's AI native layer, which they call CADDIE, fundamentally changes the interaction model.
CADDIE.
Yeah, CADDIE does not force you into a new dashboard. It brings the decision to the person natively inside the collaboration tools that teams already live in every single day.
Wait, really? Like what tools?
We are talking about Microsoft Teams, Slack, standard email, even Excel.
Oh, wow.
CADDIE connects the ERP, TMS, and WMS in the background, unifies the data, and then quietly watches for anomalies.
Okay, let's trace the actual mechanism of that, because the documentation provides a great real-world example of how this plays out.
The demand spike scenario.
Yeah. Imagine a sudden demand spike happens in a specific region. Maybe, I don't know, a sudden weather event causes a run on a specific commodity.
Right.
Historically, a human planner finds out about this days later when stockouts are already happening. But with this agentic layer, the AI detects the anomaly the moment it hits the system.
Instantly.
And instead of waiting for a human to pull a batch report, CADDIE instantly sends a direct message to the relevant planner right inside Microsoft Teams.
But, and this is key, it flags the issue proactively. But it doesn't just hand the planner a problem.
What do you mean?
It hands them a fully contextualized solution. So CADDIE's message will say, hey, this demand spike is straining the inventory at a specific local distribution center, and then it immediately provides a recommended rebalancing action.
Okay, so it already did the math.
Exactly. The AI has already looked at the adjacent inventory across the network, checked the carrier rates, and calculated the optimal routes.
Wow.
So all the human planner has to do, right there in the Teams chat window, is literally just click to approve or adjust the recommendation.
See, that is exactly what Jobs meant by invisible technology.
Spot on.
The tool is doing incredibly heavy lifting. I mean, connecting multiple databases, running predictive models, checking real-world constraints. But to the user, it just feels like a helpful message from a super competent coworker.
Yeah, you don't see the database queries, you just govern the outcome.
That's wild. Okay, so let's shift to the full stack, because this agentic layer covers the entire operational arc, right?
It does. It fundamentally changes what a supply chain can achieve. It isn't just an isolated point solution for like demand planning.
Right.
It operates continuously across the full life cycle, which the documentation categorizes into three core pillars: predicting demand, planning the physical movement, and executing the logistics.
Let's unpack the mechanics of those pillars, starting with Pillar 1, predict. And this isn't just, taking last year's sales spreadsheet and adding 10%.
No, not at all.
The system uses signals-driven demand prediction that is continuously retrained, right? It senses demand and balances inventory before a physical disruption even hits the network.
Yeah, it continuously runs thousands of what-if scenario models. Thousands. It's stress testing the supply chain against real-world volatility. It balances inventory across the entire network of nodes, basically constantly weighing service-level requirements against cost constraints.
So it's a live, breathing model of the business.
Exactly, rather than a static historical snapshot updated once a quarter.
Okay, so then we move to Pillar 2, plan. Because the AI just predicted a bottleneck or a demand shift, it can't just stop at an alert. It has to actually rewrite the physical logistics to match that new reality.
Right, the stuff actually has to move.
Exactly. How does it physically move that inventory efficiently? Here's where it gets really interesting. It taps into a feature that the documentation calls 3D load building.
Oh, this is one of the best parts.
The mechanism here is wild. It calculates the physical three-dimensional space of the cargo against the dimensions of the available vehicles to ensure not a single inch of space is wasted.
It is a totally critical capability, and it runs in tandem with dynamic AI-driven dispatch planning.
Right.
The system is continuously right-sizing the exact number of trucks needed against the real-time volatility of the demand, while, simultaneously executing that cube-aware loading.
It's like packing the trunk of your car for a cross-country road trip, but the boxes are constantly changing size based on live sales data.
Yeah, and the car is already moving.
Right. and you are paying for every single cubic inch of empty air.
Exactly.
It maximizes every single trip by treating the physical dimensions of the freight as a dynamic variable rather than just a fixed constraint.
So then once that optimal 3D load is built and the dynamic dispatch assigns the route, the freight actually has to move through the real world.
Bill of 3,
Yes, the execution phase. The AI acts as an autonomous control tower, providing one live view across every single shipment. But the truly agentic part here is the ETA prediction.
How so?
It uses learning models that continuously update arrival times as reality shifts on the ground. So, say a truck hits unexpected port congestion or like severe weather.
Things you can't predict perfectly.
Right. The risk management system detects the delay and autonomously generates mitigation paths.
And it handles the brutal administrative drag that comes with execution, too. Think about freight settlements.
Oh, freight settlement is the worst.
Usually, a human logistics worker is just staring at a massive spreadsheet, right?
Yeah.
Trying to compare the initial, quote, a carrier provided against some crumpled paper invoice a driver handed over 2 weeks later.
Trying to figure out why the numbers don't match.
Exactly. But the AI completely eliminates that friction.
Yeah, it acts as a continuous ledger. It manages electronic proof of delivery, or EPOD, from the very first scan.
So it's all digitized immediately?
Yes. When it comes time for freight settlement, the system automatically matches the initial digital quote directly against the GPS data of the delivery route and the electronic signature.
Wow.
It reconciles the payment instantly, flagging only the actual unresolvable exceptions for human review.
What I think is really smart about how Enmovil deploys this, though, is the modularity.
Oh,
The documentation is very clear that enterprises do not have to boil the ocean. You can start exactly where it hurts the most. If your biggest pain point is manually reconciling freight settlements, you deploy just that module.
Right. Prove the value there and then scale up.
Exactly. Scale up to the predictive forecasting or the 3D load building when the organization's actually ready to absorb it.
Well, it's easy to build a smart AI in a controlled lab environment.
Oh, sure.
But enterprise deployments usually turn into multi-year nightmares. So how does this actually survive contact with a messy global Fortune 500 company?
That is the big question.
And that is exactly where Shish S's analysis becomes vital. Enmovil is part of the Microsoft for Startups Pegasus portfolio.
Right. The Pegasus program's highly curated, isn't it?
Very. Microsoft's entire goal there is to reduce the discovery and validation costs for massive enterprises who are looking to adopt frontier AI.
Yeah, and Shisha articulates a very specific thesis for why Microsoft backs Enmovil. Their belief is that the most durable AI opportunities aren't standalone apps that try to replace everything.
Exactly.
They are intelligence layers that overlay existing enterprise commitments. Like we said earlier, amplification, not displacement.
It completely validates the exact approach we've been discussing. You don't tell a global manufacturer to throw away a decade of custom ERP logic.
Right, you just make the system they already have radically smarter.
And more proactive.
Yeah.
And that thesis is clearly resonating at the highest levels of global commerce.
Oh, without a doubt. I
Yeah.
mean, we were talking about production scale deployments across more than 60 massive enterprises, heavy hitters across manufacturing, automotive, and fast-moving consumer goods.
Big names.
We're talking Nestle, Cisco, Daimler, Maruti Suzuki, Bajaj, Carlsberg.
You absolutely do not get integration access to the core operational data of companies like that without ironclad security.
Exactly. And the sources explicitly highlight their security posture. They note their ISO 27001 and SOC2 Type 2 certifications.
It's a big deal.
Huge deal. They aren't just pinky swearing that your proprietary supply chain data is safe. SOC2 Type 2 means independent auditors have actually verified over an extended period of time that this AI architecture is strictly governed.
Right. It cannot leak Nestle's distribution secrets to a competitor.
The plumbing is genuinely secure.
But, security just gets you in the door. The reason these massive organizations are scaling the platform is the financial outcome.
The ROI.
Yeah. If you look at traditional digital transformation suites, the industry norm is just a massive implementation slog. It typically takes 12 to 24 months just to implement a new platform and begin seeing any return on investment.
12 to 24 months. Organizations will literally defer modernization simply because the business cannot wait 2 years for a return.
Exactly. But the sources highlight that Enmovil's time to value is 2 to 4 months.
That's incredible.
You are capturing actual measurable value within the exact same fiscal year that you commit to the platform.
In the mid-market, fast-moving consumer goods case study, the FMCG case study, is the perfect illustration of this. Enmovil documented that the cumulative savings generated by the platform equaled the entire program cost in less than 4 months.
Complete payback in a single quarter.
That kind of payback speed is almost unheard of in enterprise logistics. But, well, when you look at the mechanism of how they achieve that, it makes perfect sense.
It does.
They aren't saving an FMCG company $10 million by finding one massive glaring mistake in the network. They're saving $10 million by finding $1,000 mistakes
Yay.
before they ever even happen.
Squeezing 2% more cargo into a truck using that cube-aware loading.
Yeah, shaving 10 minutes off a dispatch route.
Preventing a minor stockout that would have required expedited air shipping.
Exactly. It is the compounding effect of marginal gains at machine speed.
In isolation, each autonomous decision seems modest. But compounded across the immense volume of decisions a complex distribution network makes every single month, the financial impact is just staggering.
And for their manufacturing clients, the impact goes far beyond just reducing operational costs. The continuous re-optimizing of the supply chain actually redesigns the physical footprint of the network.
Yeah, that's a crucial point.
By dynamically repositioning inventory based on live predictive signals, the AI is freeing up massive amounts of capital. Capital that was previously just trapped, sitting idle in excess safety stock across unnecessary network nodes.
They are literally pulling trapped cash out of the physical inefficiencies of the supply chain.
It proves that transitioning from manual workflow management to a continuous agentic intelligence layer does much more than just make your planners' lives easier.
Right, you are fundamentally altering the agility and the core cost structure of the entire enterprise.
Absolutely. Well, we have covered incredible ground today. We trace the evolution from the clunky, dashboard hopping reality of legacy workflow management into this new era of an autonomous, continuous intelligence fabric.
A truly invisible coworker.
Yeah, an AI that sits invisibly in the background, unifying massive data sets, predicting real-world disruptions, calculating 3D loads, and surfacing actionable recommendations right into the chat window you already have open.
It is technology that finally respects the human worker's cognitive load.
So what does this all mean for you? Whether you are directing global logistics for a consumer goods giant, managing inventory for a regional retailer, or honestly just trying to govern your own complex daily projects.
Right.
The core lesson from these sources is a total reframe of what our tools should be doing for us. The goal of technology, especially in this new AI era, isn't to give you more data to organize.
No.
It isn't to give you a sleeker dashboard to stare at. The ultimate goal of the technology is to give you your time and your attention back.
Yeah. If we connect this to the broader trajectory of human expertise, though, this transition raises a really vital question that the industry is going to have to grapple with over the next decade.
Okay, what's that?
Well, as this agentic layer matures, and AI successfully shifts the human role entirely away from the manual workflow and strictly toward governing high-level outcomes, what happens to traditional business intuition?
Oh, wow. That's a great point.
Right. Supply chain professionals have historically built their deep intuitive expertise by spending years in the organizational weeds, manually untangling the messes, hunting down the exceptions, and basically learning the hidden rhythms of a network through sheer friction.
By doing the hard work.
Exactly. So if the machine handles all that friction completely invisibly, how does the next generation of leaders actually learn to trust their gut? Where does that intuition come from if you've never had to manually piece the puzzle together yourself?
That is a fascinating paradox to leave on. If the system is truly invisible, how do you learn how it works?
Something to think about.
Definitely something to chew on the next time a piece of software seems almost too helpful, solving a problem you didn't even know you had. Well, thank you for joining us on another deep dive. Keep questioning the tools you use, keep exploring, and stay curious. Because sometimes the most powerful technology in the room is the one you don't even realize is there.